And Hrishi told me there are 3 words for Grizabella. And her words are pride, indomitable, and hurt. And I thought, perfect, now I can build on those 3 words.
It's Weber literally dug her out and brought her to life for this play.
I think it's very interesting that Grizabella's role on its own is a role of isolation. And I think it's fitting that she really wasn't a part of the show until she was dug up. And the ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, she gets up during that run. While I was on the ground, trying to get life from the soil, which is how Hrishi explained it, I started crying.
All right. Excitement is reaching fever pitch at the Nita, Mukesh, Ambani Cultural Center. Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber, 17th of June to 28th of June. We're waiting for the West End and Broadway legendary musical, a winner of 7 Tony Awards, an Olivier and a Grammy, to come to the Mumbai, India stage. And remember, tickets are live now at Book My Show at NMACC.com, as well as at the venue box office. And we're very pleased to welcome one of the foremost actresses in the musical. It's Cindy Ann Abrams. She plays Grizabella in Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Hi, how are you? So wonderful to talk to you.
You too. It's very exciting. I can't wait. It'll be my first time in India, actually.
How cool. I'm going to start with an early question. I believe you sang Memory in choir as a young girl. And there's something very cinematic about that, Cindy. A girl harmonizing a song in a choir and decades later, standing center stage, singing it as her own confession. Take us into that arc. What does it feel like? I mean, you've spent a lifetime with this melody. You're finally owning it on stage.
It is a dream come true. Let me tell you, I obviously grew up in a poor. And so one of my outlets was always music. And my mom was very weird about it, but she always supported it. And so choir was a must. And there was this girl in the choir who had the sweetest voice. Her name was Ilse. I mean, I literally remember her name. And the first time I heard her singing Memory, I think it changed something in me. And it became something I would always be singing at home. I also taught myself, I did ear training on my own. So I would play it on the recorder because it was the only instrument just lying around. And then years later, in high school, I got the solo to sing just a small part of Memory. And then again, as an adult in my 20s, singing it again in harmony as a choir member. So it's always been a part of my life, but I didn't realize how big it was until I booked Grizabella. And I think that the first opening night, the first time I had to sing it, I was beside myself because it's emotional. It's a big win for you as a child, as little Cindy is what I've been saying. And it's an honor. Not many people get to do what they've dreamed of doing their entire lives, you know? And it's just a privilege. That's what it is. That's how it feels. Yeah.
You know, the role of Grizabella has been carried by some extraordinary women, Cindy. Elaine Page originated her in the West End. Betty Buckley won a Tony for her on Broadway in 1983. Nicole Scherzinger earned an Olivier nomination. Jennifer Hudson took her to film. As you prepare to bring her to Mumbai, India, how do you navigate the weight of that lineage while still planting your own Cindy Ann flag on the part?
I'm very aware of all the giants who came before me. Like, of course, we all are. But I've been very careful to make it my own story because I don't want to be thinking of everyone else before me. There's a reason that I was chosen to be Grizabella. And I think there's power in that on its own. But it is very, very, very scary knowing that so many incredibly talented people have done this before me and have been amazing. And so I only try to honor Grizabella and not think of the amazing women who did this before me. That's the only way I find comfort. But there are nights when I'll just be sitting in the dressing room because, you know, there's big gaps for Grizabella. And I'll listen to Betty and I'll listen to Elaine. But these things I only started doing once I'd already developed my own Grizabella. Yeah.
Okay, here's a fascinating piece of trivia that I came across, and I want to share it with you. T.S. Eliot actually omitted Grizabella from Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats because he felt her story was quote-unquote too sad for children. But it was this great Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber and Trevor Nunn who rescued Grizabella from a fragment of Eliot's unpublished verse and built her into the soul of the show. How does that shape the responsibility you feel for her? That Sir Webber literally dug her out and brought her to life for this play.
I think it's very interesting that Grizabella's role on its own is a role of isolation. And I think it's fitting that she really wasn't a part of the show until she was dug up. I think it's kind of full circle. It's kind of interesting and amazing that that's her entire story. Literally from the get-go, they said, no, I'm cutting you. And then she comes and she becomes the soul of the show. And isn't that kind of who Grizabella is? Isn't that kind of her story? She's someone who did not give up, someone who you can relate to because she's gone through so much, but she still carries it with dignity. And she comes there and she says, I'm not leaving. Listen to me. And then she goes and she says, this is who I am. Take me or leave me. And when she gets no response, she leaves until the white cat comes for her. So essentially, it's just about bringing Grizabella to life. It's just about telling that story. And it's so cool that the story is literally before she's even in the show. So it's something to draw from and something to think about. That's how I think about it.
Well, here's what fascinates me about your role. Grizabella sings arguably the most famous song in musical theater history, yeah? Yet, the actress who plays her has the least stage time of the entire cast. In fact, Dee Roscioli, who played her on the US tour, once joked, hey, I knitted scarves between her scenes. My question to you is, how do you walk on cold, deliver an emotional earthquake, and then walk off, do it all again, without the luxury of that slow building chemistry with the audience?
I think that goes back to the rehearsal process. I think my director, Hrishi K, was amazing in how she set up the rehearsal process because even within the rehearsal process, I was isolated. I'd be called in for the day and they'd be like, sorry, Cindy, we don't need you for this. And I'd just be sitting in the room. And so that type of relationship or that type of isolation was building from the rehearsal period already. And so when I'm during the show, it's kind of easy because I've already lived this. It's natural. It's natural for me to come on stage and go again and then come back and just keep building on that because I'd been living on the sidelines the entire time. And that really has something to do with my director and all the creatives who decided, let's keep her in isolation. It was really, really smart because I think if it had been in any other way, it would have been much harder. Yeah.
Well, many congratulations. I believe on opening night in Cape Town in December, the audience didn't wait for memory to end. They rose to their feet mid-song, a thunderous standing ovation, Cindy Ann. As a performer, when something like that happens inside the moment, not after the bow, what do you do with that energy? Do you absorb it? Do you have to push it away to stay inside Grizabella?
To be very honest, I only realized they stood at the end of the show. I was so incredibly inside the role that I didn't notice that I heard them screaming, but I didn't see them standing because it's not that I pushed it aside. It's that I love Grizabella. This is another thing about the directors that we love. We become the characters, and most actors do. Everyone actually does. But with Cats, it felt so different. And so the minute I'm on stage and I'm singing Memory, I am Grizabella, and the audience isn't there. It's me fighting for my life, essentially. So I didn't see it. I only found out after the show that they stood.
You've spoken beautifully about Grizabella being quote-unquote deeply human. I mean, there are Grizabellas all around us, right, Cindy? I mean, people who made mistakes are quietly hoping for redemption. Without breaking the fourth wall too much, Is there a real woman you've thought of while building her? A face you carry into the wings before you walk on? I don't know.
Oh, I'm going to be very vulnerable with you now. I am no stranger to pain. I've been through, many people say this, but I really have been through the ringer in my life. And so I told my director in the very beginning, she said, how does this feel? And I said, I'm in pain all the time. I've just learned how to live with it. And so being Grizabella, it comes easy to me because it is who I am. And that's what I mean by saying it's deeply human, deeply relatable, because I think almost everything that she's gone through, not to the T, like I wouldn't have gone through everything she's gone through, but I've experienced so much of the things she's gone through that I understand how to bring it to the audience. And so when I go on stage, I see my life. And when I say that I'm no stranger to pain, like I have lost a child, I have lost my mother, I lost my grandmother, all in 1 year. I know pain. And so I draw from that pain, and I think of the dignity and the strength it took to stand up and do it on my own after everyone had passed. And that's how I do it. That's the honest truth.
Thank you for that answer. Now, you've called Cats the Olympics of musical theater. But unlike most of the ensemble, you're not crawling, you're not leaping, you're not twisting for 2.5 hours. Instead, you have to deliver one of the most demanding vocal performances ever written from a cold start. My question to you is, what's the warm-up ritual? What does the hour before memory actually look like for Cindy Ann?
Ooh, if only it was the hour before memory. It's the entire morning before memory for Cindy Ann. So I'm operatically trained. So I'd wake up every morning and I will do a light warm-up, just a gentle one to wake my voice up, usually starting with humming. And then maybe an hour later, I'll use the steamer or nebulizer just to get my chest and everything free. And then I'll do another warm-up, which is more of a bulky warm-up, a full sing warm-up. I'll maybe go through some parts of memory that I felt shaky about, if there was something I was shaky about. And then I'll go to work and we do a physical warm-up and another vocal warm-up. And then I do my makeup and I keep quiet for an hour because you don't want to be too warm, especially on a 2-show day. And I go on stage and I give it my all. I lead with emotion. And I know that my voice is there because of training, and I'm privileged to have been trained. But it's really about the technicality of how to sing it, all the prep that went into it, like in the rehearsal process, and then about telling the story. That's how I do it. Yeah.
Lovely. John Napier's costume design, the iconic feline makeup of Cats are legendary. And all of you have to go through hours of transformation in the chair before every show, right?
Right.
What's the ritual like for Grizabella specifically in terms of makeup? Because, she's described as decrepit, disheveled, once glamorous. Mm-hmm. How much of finding her actually happens in the mirror when you look at her before you ever step on stage?
Well, let me tell you something interesting. Grizabella starts out as one of the cats. She actually dances in the first number. So when I first come on stage, I'm baby Grizz. And so that's just your normal makeup, the base. Then when I get off after the poem, so there's a big poem that happens, I have 7 minutes to change into Grizabella. But you have a dresser and a wig person who is there backstage helping you. And while they are putting on your wig and helping you get dressed, you are changing into the makeup. So yes, there is an aspect of once the makeup's on, I'm Grizabella. But I think for me, the minute the show starts, I'm already Grizabella. It's just the audience doesn't see baby Grizz because the makeup's so iconic that you don't realize she's already on stage. And so once I put on, because there's the tears, the iconic tears. She's got the tears. She's got the scar, the little duty mark. All of those things happens in 7 minutes. And then I go on and I sing Remark. And it's during Remark, so Grizabella's first entrance, that you really feel the isolation. And that's the first time I can say I'm really giving that emotion. Because you get on stage and the tribe shuns you. And you feel it. Everyone, like I said, we all become the cats. So it's really painful. And by the time I get off, I'm almost always crying. People don't realize how much I cry backstage, but it really helps shape my character, I would say. So yes, there's an aspect of the makeup does make you Grizabella. It does add that on, but it's already there the minute she gets on stage. Yeah.
You talked about isolation, and indeed the role demands that isolation. She's shunned by the tribe. She's watching the Jellicle ball from the shadows. And even in rehearsal and backstage, I imagine your castmates are bonding as a family of cats. You're often apart. Do you have to protect yourself emotionally from that isolation seeping in off stage, or like you said, you've lived a tough life, so you're able to manage?
So just before the show started, a very close friend of mine, we actually spoke about what it feels like to be in that isolation all the time. And the tip that I got was take one thing that represents Grizabella. Keep that one thing on you all day. And the minute you leave the rehearsal room or you leave the theater, put that thing down and now you're Cindy. So it's usually either my mom's ID. My mom's passed away, so I have her ID with me all the time. Or when I forgot it in Joburg, it was my access pass. And the minute I put that down, I've put Grizabella to bed. And it's so powerful. It's a small thing, but it's so powerful. It really does help you just move on. And often when you're not at home or you're performing somewhere else, you come home and you isolate it again. So it's really important to block that out and find something that's you. And like I said, as a kid, music was always my thing. And like all types of music, I went through from Slipknot to Bach. My taste in music is crazy. So I'll get home and I'll choose something, a genre for the day, often Beyonce, and I'll just dance it off. So I'll put the tag down or put my mom's ID down and dance it off. That's how I get rid of the pain. And it's not easy. You really have to commit to that, but it helps you get along, especially after weeks and weeks of doing something that's really sad. Yeah.
So death metal with Slipknot, there's Western classical with Bach, and then there's Queen Bey, Beyonce. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Your resume, Cindy Ann, reads like a love letter to musical theater. I mean, there's Evita, The Sound of Music, Calling Us Home, Disney's The Magic Box. From Eva Peron's world of political glamour to Grizabella's gutter, both women, in a way, are about fading light and the cost of being once adored. Do you see a thread connecting the women you've played, Cindy?
Oh, I wish I could say that I played Evita, but I did not. I did see some of it as an ensemble member. I definitely think they're two different women, but I think what I take from both of them is they both had this type of unstoppable dignity. You know, with Ava, I think it's very controversial. Obviously, her dignity was a little twisted. But the same thing with Grizabella. She left the tribe and said, I'm not leaving, when she decided to come back. So I don't know if it's a straight thread, but they definitely have some things in common. And if I were to play Eva Peron one day, I definitely think the base of Grizabella is going to help push the character of Ava. And I think it works both ways around as well. You know, if I had played Evita first and ended up doing Grizabella one day, that would help develop the character of the next role I'd play. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Grizabella's movement, that stiff, careful, broken, but still proud walk, that is its own choreography, isn't it? I want to understand, how did Associate Director and choreographer Hrishi K work with you on that, Cindy Ann?
Oh, so I joined Cat School. Cat School was one of the things that we did all together. There would be aspects of me just walking around the room, you know, with the shoulder, like out, and the cat's kind of shunning me away. And that's how we started. And then eventually it was more about finding the vulnerability in your body. So for me, it was like a natural thing that they built over time. This is why I think the creative team, they were just amazing. It was the way they went about finding the things, pulling the things out of you without you even realizing it's happening, you know? So we do cat school together and just learn about isolation and how cats move. That's all the things we do together. But Grizabella she's a little bit more humane than the rest of the character. So for me, it was about finding aches, different aches in her body, but not necessarily a limp that you can see, just the way she carries herself, because she's a woman who's gone through things, you know? And I'm younger, I'm 35 years old. I'm younger than most Grizabellas. So I really had to think about what in my body shows vulnerability. And I think the very last thing that Hrishi taught me was when she's singing Burnt Out Ends, there's this uncomfortability about that. And I had to find something within myself that is uncomfortable. And for me, it is my belly. It is, my belly is my biggest insecurity. And I don't know, it was just small things that Hrishi and Matt would say that would make you think about how you as yourself could bring that forward for Grizabella. So Burnt Out Ends, I'm always holding my tummy. I'm always crunched over. I'm always feeling, it's just natural. They made it natural so that it looks real, and it is real. Yeah.
Memory has so many heart-stopping moments. And those lyrics, oof, touch me, it's so easy to leave me. Daylight, I must wait for the sunrise. Every singer who's carried this song speaks of one phrase that even after 100 performances still surprises them emotionally. The question to you is there a line in Memories, Cindy Ann, that takes you over every night, ambushes you every night, no matter how prepared you are?
It's not a line. It's the music in the background. She goes down to the ground just before Touch Me. I'm going to speak about one specific performance that really just broke me. So I was performing on my mom's birthday. My mom's birthday is the 7th of January, and her death anniversary is on the 8th. So the 7th, my family came to watch, which was really important to me. And I went down to the ground, and it was involuntary. Like I didn't think about it. To me, it was just, I need to perform. I need to give the same show I would give, and think about my mother, like profusely crying. And I'm thinking to myself, I have to sing Touch Me now. And I got up, and as I get up, I see Alonzo, who also happens to be one of my best friends in the show, crying. And I look forward, and I see Mango Jerry and Monkey Strap, two great friends who were in the magic box with me as well, crying. And I thought, how am I going to do this? And I think that was the first time. It was the most difficult thing to do. And that stings me now, ever since that performance, every night. Every night I have to breathe and go, okay, touch me. And I give it my all every night. And it's, like I said, it's such a privilege to do such a big character, such a big role at 35, and a dream from little Cindy. So yeah, it means something. There's also in the Jellicle ball, when the first time you hear da 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 da, that also gets me in the rehearsal room when I watched them, because I was isolated. When I watched the dancers learn the choreography, I cried almost every day. So those two parts. And it's weird that it's not lyrics. I think it's because I'm classically trained, so I listen to the music, but it's the music for me. Yeah.
Grizabella is described as the once glamorous cat who's been cast out by the Jellicle tribe, is longing for acceptance. When you first began building her, Cindy, did you approach her primarily as a fallen star, an outsider, a wounded survivor, or as someone still carrying enormous dignity under the pain?
What I think is magical about the way I approach things is I don't take from other performances. I didn't watch the movie. I didn't watch the show. I always knew what Cats was, but I wanted to build the character from me, from my own perspective. And I always knew there was pain and dignity because she's Grizabella. And everyone's seen Elaine Page do it. And I always thought the way she sang it was so dignified, so vulnerable at the same time. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to walk into rehearsal and I'm going to give them pain and dignity. And Hrishi told me there are 3 words for Grizabella, and her words are pride, indomitable, and hurt. And I thought, perfect, now I can build on those 3 words. And it really was a journey. When I tell you, I think the first time Grizabella really became natural for me was during Tech Week, because now you're on stage, you're in costume, you're putting it together, and you're giving your all. It's Tech Week. You have to give full voice. You have to be in the right spot. But it really felt like home the minute I hit the stage. But it's a journey. It's much like her story. It's a journey. Yeah.
My last question is about India. What do you think of my country? And we're very proud of the Grand Theatre, the NMACC, the Nita, Mukesh, Ambani Cultural Center that you're coming to perform in. It really is an incredible venue, one of the best in the world. You must be looking forward to that. What do you hope the Indian audience takes away from not just Grizabella, but also Cats by Lloyd Webber? That's got to be the last one.
Firstly, I think that this might be my own opinion, but I think Indians and South Africans are very similar. So I don't expect that it will be very different. I do feel like they're going to be as friendly as South Africans are. And I think it's all about walking in and expecting a spectacle, which is literally what you see the minute you walk in. And then it's about accepting the journey as you go through it until you get to memory. And then you cry. And I promise you, there are going to be tears. This cast is so alive. Everyone is so passionate about what they do. There are people in the cast who have dreamt about being in Cats their entire lives. And so everyone walks on stage with this electricity. And there's something about the Indian heartbeat and a South African heartbeat that sort of matches. We kind of work together. And I think when you see this South African cast, you're going to feel that. It's going to feel like home. And I love my castmates. I can't explain to you how, even in the isolation, they were supportive. They would end the scene, like Remark, for instance, and it was insane because they, at some points, Chrissy would tell them, say what you're thinking. And I would hear them say, just get off stage, you're stinky. Like, they would always come and apologize. But the minute they put it on, it's on. And I think the audience is going to appreciate the passion that comes from this cast. Because it's like we're one big family. It's a tribe. We really have learned to be one. Yeah.
Weekends, there are 2 showings, 2:30 in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening. Weekdays, there's the one performance, 7:30 in the evening at the Grand Theatre, Nita, Mukesh, Ambani Cultural Center. Cats by Lloyd Webber, 17th to the 28th of June. Tickets are live now, going out very fast at Book My Show at nmacc.com. And if you're in the vicinity, if you're in the area, Bandra Kurla Complex in Mumbai, near the NMACC box office, please pop in and get your tickets. Cindy Ann, I really appreciate your time and see you when you're here in India. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
One world, your station.